yes, we are going to watch Reb's new video. He put out kind of a long one about the VTubers. Because something be going on with the VTubers apparently, or people are having an issue with VTubers again. I know you're shocked. What the horror? So let's see what the hell is going on with the I'm guessing the VTubers versus the normies is my guess. Or maybe it's VTuber infighting. For God's sake, that's entirely possible. But let's see what the fuck is going on with VTubers this time, shall we?
Hey, what's up guys, Rip here. So every time I see one of these threads on Twitter, I know it's a great opportunity for some content. So if you're not familiar with this type of post, it's asking for hot takes on VTubing, whether it's VTubers themselves or the related communities or whatever. And unlike a lot of the people who are either delusional or too afraid, I will give you the actual answers to some of these. You don't have to agree with all of them, but I think where I'm coming from is pretty reasonable.
I will do my best to do the same.
It's largely common sense at this point, okay? So let's jump right into it. The first one says, too many VTubers deal with drama like we're still in high school. Yes, a lot of VTubers...
Okay, you know what? I get that. I get what Succubus Bella is saying. I do. There has been, like, granted, I don't do the high school bullshit, but yeah, it's not exclusive to VTubers, for sure. For God's sake, we see it with the LA streamers all the time. But we have seen some high school level bullshit happening with VTubers. Particularly the cluster groups. Well, like the Cinder drama, I wouldn't classify as quote unquote high school stuff, Mike. That was the stuff that happened with Cinder that was elevated above high school. But you've got some of these VTubers and some of the VTuber groups where it's like, oh, I don't like you because you said X, Y, or Z, or you did this in a game. Yeah, there's a whole thing with fucking Ninja Sanji. It's not exclusive to VTubers, but considering with VTubers and especially the VTuber orgs or the VTuber groups, that often does make social news about them having stupid, petty dramas that is literally high school bullshit. And that usually gets broadcast. That's the kind of thing that you usually hear about on social media. X is beefing with Y, or this VTuber agency is going after this VTuber agency, or the Dislo group is infighting, and yeah, there can be a bunch of bullshit. Absolutely, I don't think, and as far as saying too many VTubers deal with it, I don't think it's the predominant amount of VTubers, realistically speaking. I think it kind of, because it gets pushed to the forefront in sort of the social news space, it feels like it's a lot of VTubers. Realistically speaking, I don't think it's not. Now, if we're also including VTubers that are involved with drama that is set upon them, i.e. what happened with Iron Mouse, with the Streamer Awards. The thing with Iron Mouse was, people jumping all over her was totally high school mean girl bullshit. The stuff that's happening with Neuro and Vettel recently, absolutely. That's high school mean girl, mean boy bullshit. And that's coming from outside the VTuber community. So some of it is the infighting within VTubers. Sometimes it's just VTubers getting attacked, and it is very high school. Now, the times where the VTubers getting attacked by the quote unquote normies, that's not the VTubers' fault necessarily, but they are forced into it. They can actually get forced into it.
And content creators generally, they are reliving high school. Except with VTubers, this time they're reliving high school with an attractive anime girl model, which ups their levels of delusion and narcissism even more. And the way they handle
it can. To a degree, I'm going to disagree with Revfeld. I don't think I don't think having a cute or sexy anime girl model is the primary factor. I think it's the popularity gets to their heads. For those VTubers that act like bitches and act like mean girls, I think that the result of the cute anime model is that they become popular, and thus they let that popularity go to their heads, and then they turn into mean girl. It's a stepping stone, but I don't think it's the primary causal factor of it.
Drama and controversy, as well as interpersonal issues, is very high school. You know how many Google Docs I've seen dropped on people over the slightest of disagreements, or people having public feuds over things that could be settled with a quick exchange of private DMs? But yeah, a lot of people reliving high school, and it is very, very pathetic. Now, of course, this one will generate a lot of response. This person says, a lot of VTubers complain about parasocial behavior from fans, but the simple fact is many present themselves as sexually available and willing in a very personal sense, and not just as an act. At that point, you're basically bringing it on yourself.
Okay. There is a yes and there is a no there. We've seen some VTubers that have done that they present that they have presented themselves as highly sexualized and available. There was that one VTuber. Yeah, I think that's who I was thinking of. Yes, there we go, Rather. That's what I'm thinking of. Gunpei. Gunpei absolutely fits this right here. Absolutely, Gunpei fits this right here. But that's not like, there are other VTubers that will kind of do like lewd, that will tease and do lewd. I will put myself into that category as also with VTubers like Cotton, Numi, Cinder, Bao. I don't think Sen really has done it. But there are other VTubers that will sort of like lean into the lewd a little bit for fun, like to have fun with it and to sort of like goof around with their chat and sort of tease their chat a little bit. But it's usually made quite clear that we as the streamer are not interested in getting into a relationship with anyone from our chat. We're doing it for fun. Yes, it's a little bit of a tease, but it's all in good fun, and it's not actually serious. There are a few notable exceptions, but by and large, the ones that tease, the ones that do lewd, for fun, or like make it very clear to their chats, we're having fun. I, as the streamer, am not looking to get in a relationship with anyone in my chat whatsoever, and it's made very clear that it's all in good fun and that's it. Even Cotton, who is like one of the queens of lewd, makes it very clear that it's teasing, it's in good fun, and that she is not going to be like slipping into some chatter's DMs and go, hey, big boy, you want to fuck? Like, that's been made quite clear by the vast majority of VTubers that play around with it. There are some that don't. There are some, again, Gunpei being the perfect example of that, takes it way too far and does exactly this. Makes them present themselves as sexually available and willing in a parasocial sense. She 100% did that. No excuses. And we roasted her for that. We absolutely roasted her for that. But majority, words are hard. Majoritively speaking, most VTubers don't go to this level of extreme.
Now, a lot of people on Twitter will read this last part and say, uh-oh, you're victim blaming. Well, unfortunately for them, they have no reading comprehension based on the context up here. And also, the people who are angry about this last part are probably guilty of the previous part. Can I tell you how many dommy, mommy VTubers who have like Fansly accounts and cater to the girlfriend experience and have like nothing but sexual content and always present themselves as available and single, who go around and say, oh my gosh, how did I attract all these lonely men? That is your core audience, pretty much. That is what you're catering to. Do not be a shocked Pikachu face when you attract lonely weirdos, when you present yourself as available and all of your content is sexual and you provide a girlfriend experience. There's so many VTubers who do this and are shocked at the results.
Yes. And this is why I have always made it explicitly clear, well, I will have fun with you guys. Well, I will tease and I will do a little bit of lewdness just to have fun with you guys. I have always made it expressly clear I'm not interested in dating. I will not date anyone in chat, no matter how much you beg. Not at all. It is all in good fun. It does, and that's where it ends. It ends in good fun with a little bit of teasing. Maybe activate your neurons a little bit to have fun with it, and that's it. That's it. Other than that, me personally, and I know a lot of other VTubers, not interested in a relationship, not interested in dating, not going to be dating anybody that's in chat. Not going to happen. So any dreams of that, put them to bed now, permanently, because it ain't going to happen. If you donate 10K, Atanashi, I will be so grateful. I will cry my eyes out, and that is it. And I will just say thank you over and over again, and then tell you, go love your wife. Which I know you do.
And recently I even saw a VTuber who I'm not going to name because I think they just want attention, but they posted a selfie that was safe for work. And they're like, oh my gosh, all the people in the replies are saying sexual things to me. This is horrible. I was looking at their account. Literally the previous post was them practically naked. And that's really all of their content. God. And it's like, really? It's all an act. It's very performative, just like many things in the VTubing scene. But here's one. VTweeters are not VTubers. We asked for hot takes, ma'am. Yeah, this is very agreeable. In case you don't know what a VTweeter is, it's someone who does pretty much everything a VTuber does except make actual content. It's very funny.
Or to basically make it even more simplistic, a VTweeter is literally someone that just posts on Twitter and they have an anime PFP and they post pictures on Twitter of their anime character. That is a VTweeter. No, they are not VTubers. They do not put in even a 100th of the work that VTubers put into. They literally just sit on Twitter all day, just vomiting up whatever comes across their head. So, yeah, this 100% agree. I cannot think of anybody that would disagree with this part. Well, Zeb, the V part in VTweeter is that they have an anime girl PFP that is not like stolen from someone else, and like they'll have the anime PFP. They'll do pictures of their anime avatar and post them on Twitter, and that's it. They don't stream. They don't, they might have a model, but they don't stream with it. But they do zero streaming. All they do is tweet, and that's it. That's all they do.
Okay, they'll pay for models, or they'll plan on getting models. They'll shape their entire account like that of a VTuber. They have all these big plans, but they never actually do anything. In fact, the closest thing they do to making content is tweeting and virtue signaling largely, because that gets a lot of seal clapping from fellow VTubers. But let's go to the next one. This one is actually the reason I discovered this thread. This is getting a lot of conversation, and you'll see why. Okay. Hot take. The VTuber community preaches diversity and inclusion nonstop, but it's an echo chamber. Left-wing or super progressive views get endless claps and collabs, while anything right of center or even moderate conservative instantly triggers hate mobs, cancellations, and no collab lists. Real friends in a
Really?
healthy scene should let VTubers have wildly different political opinions without torching relationships. Grow up. True
Okay.
diversity means tolerating views you disagree with, not demanding everyone thinks the same.
Okay. Now, granted, I am an indie streamer. The only like VTubers I have any like quote unquote relationship with would be like Kippy and Ori and Twee and Commoner and Taurus. And even then, it's like, we don't collab a whole lot. So I have no idea about this. I mean, you guys know that I don't do. Well, yes, Lev, you too. Yes, of course, Lev. But again, I don't have like a big streaming relationship with any of you guys. As streamers, like I'll raid out to you, Lev. I mean, we chat in Rat Chat whenever you're able to come by, of course. But it's like outside of that, I really don't have a whole lot of communication with other VTubers. So, and I'm pretty sure that Kippy and Ori and Twee and Commoner and Taurus and all of them are quite familiar with my content and quite familiar with my point of view on things. And that has never stopped them from, inviting me to the occasional collaboration with them. So, and honestly, I'm a little bit out of sync on this, and I don't get where the VTubers have to VTubers have to be super progressive views to get like a collabs and audiences. What I don't get this. Some of the biggest are No Collab, Kirche Knox Leaflet. I mean, that could be. But it's like I don't know. I'm kind of like outside the circle on this one. So it's like I don't see it, but I'm not in that part of the space. So yeah, it's like, well, instead it's even more than that. It's like I'm unaware of the majority of them. Like the one group I know about, and I honestly don't even know that much about them anymore, was the Girly Pops. With Mumi, Tricky, Bow, oh God, I blanked on her name. I mean, Cinder used to be a part of that, but there was someone, oh my God, I can't believe I've forgotten her name. Anyway, it's, I kind of knew, well, yeah, Both is in there. Lily's kind of in there too. Yeah. It's like, that's like the only real VTuber group that yeah, Vienna's in there. That's the only VTuber group I know about. And honestly, I never once looked at any of them and questioned, what are their politics? Because they just have fun on their streams. They are inclusive, but it's not like push. Well, and Silverveil doesn't like collab. That's the thing. Silverveil, generally speaking, doesn't collab. She's not comfortable with collabing. But like all of them, like they just have fun. They don't really express any kind of left, right, or center views. That's never really come up. I have no fun, with the one exception of the with the exception of the one time Tricky made that tweet about Trump and people jumped all over her about that. Yeah, Tricky did have that moment. The rest of them, though, it's like I don't know what their political leanings are, and quite frankly, I do not care. And so maybe this is in alternate other VTuber spaces where they have to do the super progressive inclusion, blah, blah, blah thing. I don't know. I'm not within that circle. I'm kind of I'm kind of by myself, and you guys know how I feel. I don't give a fuck about left, right, center. I don't give a fuck about any of that. I believe in logic, reason, and heart. Whichever direction that kind of goes into, well, there you go.
So let's talk about this first part. Yes, a very large number of VTubers spend their entire online presence preaching about diversity and inclusion And the second someone has any differing opinion on anything, they are ousted, they are blacklisted, they are harassed, they are excluded, and sometimes even worse. Even worse things are wished upon them. But yeah, I want to point out something here. This next point is really important. If you're a VTuber watching this, please listen to this next part, okay?
I'm just thinking.
This tweet has nearly 10,000 likes. Now, of course, people are screeching about this. They're seething about this take. But overall, this post has, by far, leaps and bounds, the most support among the hundreds of responses to this thread.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. The people supporting this, sure, there are some VTubers in there, right? But the majority of people supporting this post are VTuber fans. I know, that's shocking, right?
Huh.
Something that's appealing to the actual fans, the people you're supposed to be entertaining as a VTuber. Crazy stuff. Well, these fans who are supporting posts like this, they see this pattern of these virtue signalers, the endless virtue signalers in the VTubing scene who are hyper progressive. You can call them woke, whatever you want. And that's like all they do is lecture and preach, and people are tired of it. The people who constantly preach about inclusion don't want to include anyone who thinks differently than them. And in this particular case, anyone who's right of Mao Zedong politically is not welcome. Okay, people see this. And it's true, there's no study you can pull up, but if you just watch the VTubing scene on the Western side of things, there is overall a very left-leaning, hyper-progressive sort of viewpoint that is shared by the majority, okay?
I'm going to have to take Reb's word for this, because the VTubers that I'm aware of, honestly, it feels like an even split of the VTubers I'm aware of. You've got the girly pops that, generally speaking, the way they talk, they're usually, I could see them being like left-leaning at the very least. I wouldn't even put them in the like quote-unquote super progressive part. At the very least, they'd be like left-leaning. And then I know about the, Tearshade, Nux, Leaf, they're all right-leaning, with Nux probably being one of the more right-leaning of the group. Honestly, when it comes to people and their political ideologies or opinions, that's about all I know. I'm gonna have to trust Reb on this, that a majority of VTubers out there have the quote unquote super progressive inclusivity kind of ideology and preach about it ad nauseum. I'll have to take his word for that.
And they might be the loudest as well. And that just doesn't line up with VTuber fans. VTuber fans are all over the place. And proof of that is, think about the most successful indie VTubers. What are they? Almost all of them are apolitical. They don't talk about anything because they don't want to exclude or isolate a potential audience base, because they care more about entertaining people than virtue signaling and sharing their political opinions or trying to impress other VTubers.
Which is what, not just VTubing, which is what streaming is all about. That's what it's all about. When you are a VTuber or when you are just a streamer, unless you've built your brand on being a political commentator like Hassan, most streamers just want to entertain. They want to give their respective audiences something to have fun, have a stream where they can have fun, where they can be entertained, where they don't need to consistently have the weight of reality bombarded at them when they came to the stream in the first place to get away from that. Like, yes, I will talk about, I will do topical content. I will do reacts that are topical. I will even do my own, I will even speak at length about topical issues like I did yesterday. But by and large, I tried to mix it up. I tried not to be all about, let's just hammer reality over the people in my chat's heads when they came to my stream for the express purpose of trying to get away from the firestorm of insanity that is reality right now. And Rev is exactly right. The streaming VTubers that are successful are the ones that focus on the fun. They focus on their chat, enjoying themselves and having a fun time. Because people don't want to deal with reality when they come to a stream, by and large. A stream is the modern day television. And what do people watch what do people always watch television for? They watch it as a means of escape, of a momentary escape from reality, so they can basically take the weight of their world off their shoulders, just relax and enjoy. That's what streaming is. It is the modern day television entertainment. And if you are basically setting yourself up as a news or political commentary channel, people aren't going to be enjoying themselves as much. And the ones that you are getting in there are the ones that are just terminally online and have that sickness, that sickness inside of them that I told you about, where they're constantly harping on politics, constantly harping on ideologies, and it makes them sicker and sicker and sicker, but they just keep feeding into it, and it just makes them worse. And we all know what that results in. It results in those individuals being just like mentally and inside just twisted up, unhappy people that can't find any joy in life because they spend the majority of their time fighting some imagined fucking fight that they have to rah-rah or about. And the stream is no longer fun. And you will not see very many VTubers that go that route that are successful, because it only lasts for so long before people will just go, I can't do this anymore. I feel like shit every time I come into the stream because we're just harping on the same damn thing over and over again, and I'm getting sick of it, and I just want to have fun and be entertained. It just doesn't last long. Yeah, and 100%, the streamer themselves get audience captured, just like Hassan's been audience captured, and it becomes no fun for anybody.
That's the problem here. A lot of these VTubers who are very hyper-progressive, they post about the modern thing every 2 seconds because they want to impress not VTuber fans, but other VTubers. They want the seal claps from the other VTubers. That is more important to them than actually building an audience. And that's tragic for them. Think about it. How many super outspoken, hyper-progressive VTubers do you see out there with a tangible amount of success, like a long-term career level of success as a VTuber? Practically none. In fact, some people would say zero. And it's not that surprising because it doesn't line up with what VTuber fans actually want. And then we think about, what is this moderate conservative or anything right of center? Like, what does that even mean? Well, this is a good point in the...
It means nothing. I will take this one. Moderate conservative or right of center these days means nothing. It no longer has a meaning. It's basically a label that is being ascribed for someone that does not think like a person on the extreme left. It's just like these days, when it comes to descriptors of political leanings, means absolutely nothing. Because think about it. If you were to ascribe a political, no, I'm not even going to say that. It's a lot of people have this. Okay, perfect example. Asmongold. He's not a VTuber, but he's the perfect example. People categorize him as alt-right. They frequently categorize him as alt-right, yet we saw a video yesterday where he actually champions what would be considered leftist ideologies. He said he's 100% all on board with free healthcare, and he's 100% all on board with more social services for people. But he's categorized as alt-right because people focus on the net, because these people focus on what they don't like. They can't, with someone that would be colloquially be considered a moderate, they don't look at them that way because they focus on the parts of them they don't like and therefore ascribe that person to the extreme of that ideology that they don't like, which is why this stuff doesn't fucking matter anymore. Yeah, and Zep, yeah, that's the other one. You want to know how fucking meaningless it is? Me. I have been labeled as both alt-right Nazi and woke, like DEI woke at the same, like I have been literally labeled as both extremes. That's why they have no meaning. These categorizations have no meaning in the modern day because the categorizations are basically determined by the person that doesn't like you. That's what it boils down to. If the person looking at you doesn't like you, then they will categorize you by your ideology that they don't like, i.e., you're an extreme, you're an alt-right Nazi or you're an extremist leftist freak, because those are the things that they will fixate on. And that's how you get labeled with an ideology. And so none of it matters anymore. The labeling of it does not matter, except when you're basically trying to pontificate and claim some kind of moral or ideological superiority over others. That's it. In reality, it doesn't mean anything anymore.
Conservative or anything right of center. Like, what does that even mean? Well, this is a good point in the replies.
Nothing.
Crazy the amount of VTubers I have seen labeled as alt-right for simply reacting to a shoe on head video.
And that's because shoe is considered alt-right by these people that are labeling VTubers as alt-right. Because these same people view Shu as alt-right herself, even though she is not. Even though she is like just objectively, Shu is like objectively, quote unquote, left. She is a libertarian, as I recall correctly, but she basically calls balls and strikes, just like Asmongold does. And so a VTuber that reacts to a Shu video is because these crazy people listen to what Shu has to say, and they go, oh, she's an alt-right Nazi. So any VTuber reacting to Shu and offering even a modicum of agreement to what Shu says is now by osmosis now alt-right. This is the insanity of the labeling. This is why these political ideological labels mean nothing anymore. Absolutely nothing.
I've seen multiple VTubers who are, not problematic in the eyes of all these other VTubers for the longest time. Then they reacted to a shoe on head video, and all of a sudden now they're an alt-right. They're alt-right and they are blacklisted and they're terrible, and now they're free to harass and dogpile anytime you want.
And I'm going to tell you something. If I ever get blacklisted because of my opinions on something, good. Good. If someone's going to get so butthurt over an opinion that I have, that they're going to say, oh, put Ember on the blacklist for collabs with us. We're never going to collab with her ever. No way. She's alt-right Nazi. Good. Because that means that you are not a person that I would want to collab with in the first place. If you're going to go that extreme, like that crazy about an opinion, good. That's not someone I want to engage with in the first place. That's how I look at it. If someone is going to get so butthurt about an opinion I have, that I'm on the no collab list, happy to be there. I'm perfectly happy not collabing. I'm perfectly happy just doing my own thing on my own stream. Just not collabing with anybody. Like I've collabed with, Kippy, Ori Tweet, Commoner, Taurus, Cryptic. I've done collabs with them. They were kind of fun. But realistically speaking, I'm happy in my own space. I'm happy doing my own thing with you guys. If I never collabed again, which I'm not saying would be a good thing or anything, but if I in circumstances dictated that I never collabed again, I'd be fine with it. I'd be fine just doing my stream by myself with you guys every day. I'd be perfectly happy doing that.
Seen this play out multiple times. And then you have posts like this saying, Girl really just said, why am I being penalized by other VTubers for being a bigot? It's not fair. Then proceeded to talk about VTubers in SS uniforms and applauds Kirsche and Nines. Oh, of course.
Oh,
so
fuck.
I think their comment about this right here was that they said a VTuber tried to do this gimmick, provided shock value. And, you know, personally speaking, I think it was cringe and stupid. But yeah, they mentioned.
Oh yeah, the VTubers that deliberately said we're gonna be Nazis, because that was a thing. I don't think it lasted very long. There was at least one VTuber. There might have been a couple of them, as I can't recall exactly, that literally went all in with like the SS cosplay, like the Nazi uniform cosplay. And I'm not talking about like what Zen did. Okay, what the outfit that Zen did was a modern update of her pre-existing, outfit. It was just a militaristic uniform that is commonly seen in a lot of anime. That militaristic uniform, which is also seen in history of non-Nazi individuals throughout military history, and it's just been updated. It was just updated for today. There was a couple of VTubers that like started a group, or they tried to start a group, and they kind of went deliberately, it was a weird group. It did not last long. Okay, this is a group that I think it lasted like maybe a month or two. It did not last long, but they actually went like full Nazi. Like in like uniform, like they deliberately were cosplaying as Nazis. And that is just batshit stupid. Absolutely batshit crazy. It's not, like I said, it's not like Sen's outfit, which was just a military style uniform that it just so happens one of the groups of people in military history that happened to wear that style uniform happened to be the Nazi Party, while other military groups in throughout history that were not Nazis wore the same kind of uniform, and it has been a staple of anime culture that is like a military uniform. It's not that. These guys went absolutely 100%, were basically cosplaying as Nazis. And again, it didn't last long. I think they got like, they lasted like a month, maybe two, and then they have disappeared into the ether.
Yeah, that got a lot of attention, even though it was negative. And then they lumped that in with applauding Kirsche and Nines, and it's just...
Because, of course they do. Because, I don't know about Nines. I do not know anything about Nines. But yeah, Kirsche and Nux are routinely called Nazis. Kirsche actually more than Nux, I would say. Routinely, Kirsche is labeled as a Nazi. Improperly. It's... And this is the insanity of living by Twitter. Is that, again, it's you said something I don't agree with, therefore you are a Nazi and you are a fascist. That's what's going on with Kirsche, is they don't like what Kirsche has to say. Yeah, Leaflet gets called a Nazi as well, I'm sure. It's because they say stuff that people don't, that people in that ideology don't like. And they are firm in their convictions of it. Plus, they have evidence to support what they say about it. And because the SJAs hate the fact that they're getting called out on their bullshit, what does the SJA? What does the typical SJA do? They default to Nazi, and we know why they do it. We absolutely know why they do it. They default to Nazi to dehumanize their target, so it makes it easier for the insane parties of their followers to try and eliminate them. Yeah.
Just like, we see kind of what you're doing here. On top of that, being penalized for being a bigot. Yes, that's right. Anything that is not lining up with your views 100% is bigotry. Yeah. Then we have this post saying, really hoping the dam breaks and all the big apolitical VTubers come out as woke to make it even harder for you guys. Yeah, I wouldn't hold your breath on that one. That's
Okay.
never going.
How is that going to make it harder? Okay, so if all of the big apolitical VTubers come out as woke, why would all the rest of us give a shit? If all the major VTubers that we know about, all the girly pops, Cotton, Alana, Zen, all of them, like all of the big, literally all the big popular ones, if they came out as quote unquote woke, how would that affect me? How would that affect me even in the slightest? Trick question, it wouldn't. My stream would not change. My content would not change. I would keep doing the same damn thing that I've been doing because I don't give a fuck what their political ideology is. The political ideology of these other big VTubers means nothing. It means precisely dick. Because it's not going to change anything I do. So, Flabberjiggles, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Because it's not going to change anything. It's not going to change anything for a lot of VTubers that are not these quote-unquote big apolitical VTubers. They're not going to change the content. Why would they? Unless they are desperate to try and get a collab with one of these big VTubers to boost their popularity, they're going to have the same opinion as me. I don't give a fuck. It's not going to change my stream. Because their political ideology means nothing to me and has no effect on how I conduct myself. Because I don't care. And that's how a majority of the indie VTubers will also react. The vast majority of the indie VTubers that are not these quote-unquote big apolitical VTubers won't care either. Because it's not going to change how they do things either.
Going to happen. Let's move on to some more hot takes. Sorry I spent some time on that, but that was a pretty important one right there. VTubing is just a medium, and the VTubing community doesn't and will never exist. Correct. There is no such thing as the VTubing community. There's no hive mind of VTubers.
That's fair. I see where he's going.
Obviously, there is a scene. There's like culture to it. But the most important community you can ever have is your community. That's it.
Yes.
That's all you should care about building, not appeasing a VTubing community where you're impressing all these VTubers and trying to fit in with them. Work on building your own community. That's it. That's the best thing you can do.
100%
this
right.
Isn't a hard job.
Third, disagree. This argument has been around for a while. Where this is not limited to VTubers. This argument has been around for years. When I forget who it was that said this. But a streamer, a non-VTuber, just a regular cam streamer, said something about, was talking about how streaming is a really hard job. And people immediately started jumping onto him saying, oh, streaming's not hard. You just got to sit there and talk. It's not a hard job at all. Why don't you try actually working like a construction job? Yeah, it's like they're going, streaming isn't a hard job. I've talked about this. And I've said this. It can, streaming is a hard job in a different way. They're like throwing zero shade whatsoever at people that work difficult, like physical labor type jobs where they're doing like construction, oil workers, law enforcement, farming, really physical jobs. Is it the same as that? Of course not. It is nowhere even close to the same thing. Those are physically demanding and exhausting jobs, and fully appreciate that. Streaming is mentally difficult. It is mentally draining. It is mentally taxing. Why? Because you, as the streamer, have to be entertaining the entire time. And even some of the cam streamers, it can also be physically exhausting because certain cam streamers do a great deal of physical activity on their streams as well. Speed is the perfect example. Speed has been doing his world tour, and all of his streams have been him doing some pretty strenuous physical activity. Racing a cheetah, which that was a fucking joke, by the way, him racing a cheetah. Nah. He was pulling a truck. He basically like lashed himself to a truck and pulled a truck. Some of these cam streamers do actually do physical work, but the streamers that don't, where they're just in front of a camera, it can be mentally fucking draining because you have to try and be entertaining. For me, as a reactionary streamer, when I do reaction stuff, I have to basically, my mind has to constantly be working at where I'm watching the video, processing that in and making my own commentary to keep the stream interesting, to keep it fun, keep it informative, and that can be mentally exhausting. It's basically along the same lines as an office worker. Office work can be mentally exhausting because while you're not doing a lot of physical work, your brain is working the entire time. So you're spending practically 8 hours a day with your brain constantly working. And that can be mentally exhausting. Same thing applies to streaming. Your brain is constantly working, constantly trying to come up with entertaining things to do on your stream to make your audience enjoy it, to allow them to have fun. Well, Deagle Fingers, again, it's a different kind of thing. It's not a lot easier because when you are a quote-unquote wait, hold up. Deagle Fingers, am I misunderstanding what you mean by being a chair streamer? Are you talking about as a chair streamer, you just sit there and don't do anything? Am I misunderstanding what you are referencing as far as a chair streamer? Like, the whole thing of the Hassan joke where he gets up and walks away and just leaves the chair. Okay, yeah, okay, fair. Understood. Okay, gotcha. But yes, it is a different kind of difficult. Streaming is a different kind of difficult that fits more in line with like white collar individuals. And it can be very difficult. It can be very hard. Yes, it can. Because being creative is one of the most stimulating things mentally that you can do with your brain. Creativity stimulates your brain probably just as much as doing high math equations or, doing like medicine. It's like your brain really has to work to keep the creativity flowing. It typically does not just flow naturally where you don't have to think about it and you are just naturally creative. You need to work at it. So yes, streaming as a VTuber is a hard job, particularly because you don't have as many tools available to you as a cam streamer. As a VTuber, I am a two-dimensional anime girl. So I am very, very much reliant upon my voice to be entertaining. Whereas your typical cam streamer not only has their voice, but they can actually do stuff on camera. They can dance around. They can have another person there that they can talk back and forth, sitting right there with them. They have more options. As a VTuber, I literally only have my voice as the primary means of entertaining. That is challenging sometimes to keep the stream entertaining and not to just go, all right, I can't think of anything, so we're just going to sit here and watch something, and I'm not really going to talk much. No, you can't do that as a VTuber and maintain a fun and inviting atmosphere for your audience. So yes, it is a hard job, and I will defend that.
Correct. Yes. Being a VTuber comes with very unique challenges, and that's true with content creation, right? You face things the average person's not probably ever going to face with their regular job. But please, be humble and understand it's not that hard.
Hard fucking disagree. Hard fucking disagree with Reb on this one. It can be a hard job. It's just not a hard job in the way a lot of people consider it. Like I just rambled on about for the last probably 20 fucking minutes. So on this, I am going to have a hard disagree with Rev. G-tubing absolutely can be a hard job in its own way, in a creative way.
It's not that hard. It is a great privilege to be able to make content for a living. It's something I'm very appreciative every single day. I think about it all the time. Super lucky. So get off your high horse. Understand there's challenges, but don't be a Hassan Piker saying streaming is harder than a 9-to-5 job or anything like that.
And again, with the Kata Soul, it depends on the 9-to-5 job. Like, saying streaming is not harder than a 9-to-5 job depends on the 9-to-5 job. That's all I'm going to say. I've already talked ad nauseum about it, but I'm just going to say that.
Cringe. But let's move on to this. VTubing is not inherently a LGBT or liberal space. It is literally just a different way to stream, and literally anyone with any views can do it and shouldn't be shunned because they hold different values. I run into this a lot as a Christian who happens to be a VTuber. If you want to instantly rile up a hornet's nest of so-called accepting...
Simply John, he used to. He hasn't for a long time. He did used to stream on Twitch, and I want to say it's probably been about a year since he actually streamed, and nowadays, for quite some time, he has only produced videos on this channel, and he's trying to revive his alt channel. Yeah, his wife does live streaming way more than he does. Rev, I think, has just given up on live streaming and has committed himself to just doing recorded YouTube content. Excuse me.
Instantly rile up a hornet's nest of so-called accepting and progressive people. Come out and say you're a Christian as a VTuber. Good luck. You're going to be harassed. Yeah. You are now open for attack because in their eyes, you just committed the ultimate form of bigotry. You have...
Well, for fuck's sake, if you say you're a Christian these days, you literally get equated to being a Nazi. Like, seriously, if you as a VTuber, basically, say that you are proudly Christian, then you literally get labeled as a Nazi or fascist because you say, I'm a Christian and I follow these Christian values. Oh God, if you're a Jewish VTuber, forget it. They'll want to burn you at the stake like a witch. But yeah, because now you have to be, as a VTuber, there is this wild ass expectation that you have to be incredibly liberal and you basically have to espouse, but you basically have to worship everything except Christianity and white people. If you show even the slightest bit of positivity towards Christianity or white people, they want you burned at the stake. And yeah, like literally Christian VTubers are hated simply for existing because again, they get equated to being Nazis out of pocket for no reason. For no reason, out of pocket, they equate them to being Nazis. And yes, Jewish people automatically get labeled as genocidal maniacs. Out of pocket. Like if you say I'm Jewish, well, you must be you must love genocide. You must want to genocide this group of people because you're Jewish. It's insane. It's taken the ideology and just pushing it in one direction in such an extreme way that you no longer can think rationally. Like me, fuck, I don't give a fuck about religion. I'm fine with someone else's religious. If you want to be religious, whatever that religion might be, more power to you. You can be religious. You can have religious values. That's fine. As long as you don't try and shove those values down my throat, I don't give a fuck what you believe in. As long as you don't use your religion as an excuse to try and harm other people, I give less than a fuck of what your religious ideology is or what your religious beliefs are. Me, I'm not religious whatsoever. Yes, I was raised in yes, at a young age, I was raised kind of, sort of religiously, but like not even. It was very, okay. It was almost kind of like, okay, well, our family has always been this way, so we're going to basically have you do the same, growing up stuff in religion. And then once I reached essentially adulthood, I never did it again. Don't give a fuck. Never have. Because I'm not going to live my life trying to please some imaginary friend in the clouds or under the ground. That's me. You want to believe in religion? Have at it. So long as you don't try and use it to harm or kill someone, and you don't try and shove your ideology down my throat, I give less than a fuck what you believe. And honestly, I think more and more people, I think, are going that route. Again, what is being referenced here is the extremely vocal minority. That's one key thing to remember. All of this is referencing reactions on Twitter. Right? Everything that's being discussed here is in reference to Twitter reactions, which again is the extremely vocal minority. That's the thing that social media has done. It has given a megaphone to like the 1% of people that have this opinion, these kinds of opinions. That's just something to remember on this.
Completely dehumanized yourself, and now they're going to harass you endlessly. That is the way it works, unfortunately. But again, if you focus on what you actually care about, and I always recommend keep your circle small. And if it doesn't really work out with fellow VTubers, touch grass. That is an option. You can touch grass and get your interactions with people in real life as well. And quite frankly, it's typically a lot better. But anyways, yeah. VTubing is just another means of producing content, and it shouldn't be inherently anything. But unfortunately, a lot of the VTubers in the scene, especially the most loud people, try to exert certain values, and it might be frustrating at times, especially for someone like this, but the best thing you can do is just focus on yourself, ignore them, understand that a lot of it comes out of jealousy and mental illness as well. A lot of
Rebs bang on with the jealousy part. A lot of the people that like to attack VTubers, especially popular VTubers, 100% jealous. Because these VTubers have achieved a level of popularity and status that they wish they could have. But they either don't have the confidence, the means, the talent, or the luck to become popular like these VTubers have become. And so they're jealous at. They're basically going, why not me? It should have been me. And so they will attack because they're jealous of that VTuber. Because that VTuber has gained an audience. Because that VTuber has gained a significant audience. That they want it to be them. And for whatever reason it might be, it wasn't them. It was this person instead. And they hate them for it.
The pent-up anger that people are constantly spewing all over the place on Twitter as a VTuber. But yeah, the best thing you can do is focus on yourself, focus on your community, and understand that a lot of these
Jax, I'm gonna slightly disagree with you there, where it says they expect to get success day one when reality takes time to get success. Not necessarily. There are VTubers and other streamers that, you know, I've seen people posting before, they have They have said, like, I've been streaming for like 5 years and I only have like 30 people I've only been able to achieve like 30 people in my chat. And then they see other streamers that they consider lesser than them in terms of their content, and they go in a heap rage about them because this other person has like 1,000 people in their chat, and they're thinking, oh, well, I'm clearly a better streamer than them. How come they've got so many people and I don't? And so then they attack the other streamer. Bearing in mind, when it comes to streaming, I've said this before, luck is a big part of this. Okay, when it comes to streaming, regardless of VTuber or cam streamer, luck is a factor. It is. It's not the only factor. You need to have at least like some talent for entertaining people. But you absolutely need the talent for entertaining people because you need that to sustain your audience. But to gain that audience in the first place, without a doubt, there is luck involved. I've said this about my own stream. I flat out said this might not even so much about how algorithms work, Revan. There is some aspect to that where you're correct, but it's basically luck. like with my stream, I got lucky because well, like I like to think I'm entertaining. You guys have stuck around for a while, and you know the audience is growing, which is fantastic. I love that. But I will freely admit, I got lucky when one of my videos, when my Scott video about the punt gun, like a year and a half ago, my Scott video about the punt gun hit like eyeballs just right. It hit eyeballs just right and basically started my climb in terms of my audience numbers. And I will freely admit, I got lucky that number of eyeballs saw my content, enjoyed what I did, because again, if you're not entertaining, all the luck in the world of getting eyeballs on your content is not going to help you, because if you're not entertaining, people are going to look at it, but then they're going to go, yeah, this sucks, I don't want to have anything to do with it, and move on. I got lucky enough that my content, when I posted to YouTube, caught enough eyeballs, and I was entertaining enough in that video that people were like, I want to go check out this streamer live on Twitch. And thus, I started to accumulate, thus more and more people started to come into the stream. They liked what I did, they stayed, and even more people came in because they've seen my videos and they come in. I will freely admit that there is a luck component to becoming successful as a streamer. VTuber or cam, doesn't matter. I will fully admit that that is fair. And sometimes, even if you are entertaining, sometimes luck is not on your side. Your content does not reach that many people, and you don't get a big audience, and you're just not able to sustain the stream because you have other things in your life that take priority, and so streaming ends up not being for you. That is a part of it, I will freely admit. A part, not the whole, but a part. Absolutely.
Crazies in space are, well, they're just that. They're crazies. Well, let's continue on. A bunch of copy-paste lookalikes attacking anyone who sticks out. This is very true.
Really?
There are a lot of copy and paste. Right now, the VTubing scene is about, let's see, let me check my watch here. About 5 years past oversaturation. Okay, like literally everything is so oversaturated at this point. Like everything's been done before, pretty much. Okay, it's very hard to be unique and to stand out, but it's something you should try to do. And you can do it with your model, or you can do it with your content. Whoa, who would have thought of that? Yeah, that's the best thing you can do to stick out. But yeah, there are...
Oh yeah, Alex, I know. I that was the first thing I noticed, is that this was Banana Juju saying this. Oh yeah, I saw that.
A lot of copy-paste lookalikes. They see what a big indie VTuber X does, and they think, oh, if I look close to what they look like, I'm going to stand out. No. It's the exact opposite. It's going to make you even more forgettable. So if someone's looking for... I've seen a few people, a few VTubers with their models, that the way they did their models up, they looked really close to other models. Yeah, well, and like that's kind of like I went the route of when I did this model. Granted, my first model was not unique. My first model was a free model. Had to get started with something. I didn't really have any money, and I wanted to start VTubing, so I used a free model that anybody and other people have used. Even while I was streaming with that model, other people were using that model. But when it came to making up my new model, this one, I specifically wanted to try and make it, like, I did not look at other VTubers for any inspiration whatsoever. I didn't, not at all. I just basically looked at, various anime stuff and tried to basically just get my, I did a little bit of, like, outside VTubing research into the model, and I made something that looked good to me. I thought that this model looked good, when it was all said and done, when I worked with the artist, I was like, this model looks good. It's kind of what I want. And I didn't think about like, oh, is this going to look like another VTuber's model? And maybe try and like capture some of that audience because they think I'm that. No, I wanted the model that I think would look pretty,
maybe even a little bit sexy, and to a degree also could fit my personality. And that's where my focus was. And I would say it's been reasonably successful. I'd say my model is, reasonably speaking, unique. Now, there's some elements of it that I have like borrowed from other sources. You guys have pointed it out numerous times, like some of the elements of my model that, you can, little tidbits here and there that have been picked out from popular media. But it's not like I'm replicating that popular media in its entirety. It's just small little bits and pieces here and there to accent my model.
A certain type of VTuber design.
Hi, Geralt.
Right? Are they going to watch the fresh new indie with 10 viewers, or are they going to watch the original with 5,000 viewers? I think the answer here is very obvious. But of course, I like this last point being made by Banana Juju, who we've talked about at least like 2 or 3 times on this channel. Attacking anyone who sticks out. Wow, they would know about that. If you don't remember the lore of this VTuber, they got dogpiled by who? Not the VTubing fans, VTubers, for having a fair-skinned model with dreadlocks, apparently based on their real-life appearance. VTubers lined up in droves to harass this person. It was a coordinated, massive harassment campaign, and guess what happened? A lot of VTubers got their clout from other VTubers and impressed them with their very progressive views. But Banana Juju went from like a few hundred followers to like tens of thousands in a matter of days. Because VTuber fans rallied behind someone being a victim of a harassment campaign by...
And it backfired the attack. Kite, the attack backfired spectacularly. All it did was just promote her. She literally was any publicity is good publicity. In her case, even bad quote unquote bad publicity, because it wasn't bad publicity. She did nothing wrong. It was just people just outright attacking her for no fucking reason because they're assholes. And what happened? She got a ton of popularity out of it. Her channel skyrocketed, and she's now become very successful because of it.
These hyper-progressive VTubers, and also just liked what they saw and enjoy her content as well. And I'm glad she's still making content to this day. All right, here's another one saying, immersion breaking sucks, hand cams are fine. If you're going to face docs and body post, do it on a side account at minimum if you want to call yourself a virtual YouTuber. There's too many tourists in VTubing. It's full of clicky mean girls and drama, something, anything for views.
Okay, in this respect, I can kind of see the point here with the face docs and body posting. Is part of the draw for a VTuber is the anime avatar. Bear in mind, I'm not saying that there was anything wrong with a VTuber, showing their face, showing their body or whatever. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it, but I can understand how it can kind of be immersion breaking. Because people go to a VTuber's channel, they join a VTuber's channel because of the anime avatar. They kind of view the anime avatar as the streamer. And yeah, like getting to peek behind the curtain, so to speak, and seeing the actual face or body of the VTuber can potentially be immersion breaking. So I kind of understand that a little bit. However, sometimes it can work. It sometimes can work. Squee is the perfect example of how it can work. Squee is a VTuber, but Chieftain, that's what I'm talking about. Like, plenty of people do like her IRL cooking streams. Squee is a VTuber, but she very frequently does IRL cooking streams where you basically see her from the neck down. And people like it. Bao is another one, so is Numi. They're able to make it work. However, I do also understand the mindset of if you are a fan of a VTuber, that you don't want to see behind the curtain and you do not want to you may not necessarily want to see the person behind the avatar because it's sort of like you view the VTuber as their avatar, as their model. And when you see the VTuber in real, when you see the VTuber in real life, it's sort of like I can see how it could make it difficult to then watch the VTuber because your brain keeps going, well, that's not what this person actually looks like. This person actually looks like this. This is not actually them. And I can understand how it can be a bit immersion breaking. I can understand and appreciate it. Now, this is kind of going a bit further, saying like you should never face dogs, you should never body post outside of hand cams, and because if you do, you shouldn't call yourself a VTuber. No, I don't agree with that. But I can agree that for certain people, it absolutely can be immersion breaking, and they may not want that. And that's their individual preference. So I understand it. I can appreciate it. But I completely disagree with you. Like, you can't call yourself a VTuber if you show your face or show your body like other VTubers have done for years.
So I agree with the last two parts. Very true. Too many tourists. There's a lot of cliques and mean girl and high school behavior, for sure.
Perfect example of another one that does it. Cotton. Cotton does cam streams all the time. Granted, of course, she covers her face with her mask all the time. But Cotton does IRL cam streams all the time. And people still love her as a VTuber. It's not immersion breaking for them. It all depends on the individual. And no one would ever think to say that, oh, Cotton, you've done so many IRL streams. You cannot consider yourself a VTuber anymore.
Tourists, there's a lot of cliques and mean girl and high school behavior, for sure. This is like personal preference. A lot of people feel like this.
Yes.
If you're a VTuber, you should never post anything IRL. I'm more on the side of I don't really care if you do, as long as it's not like the core of your accounts. Like, if you're posting as much IRL stuff as your VTubing stuff, at that point you've become an e-girl with a VTuber model. Like, I don't really know what else to view that as, because we all know like posting IRL photos of yourself as a VTuber is going to get you a lot of views on Twitter. If that's important to you, I go for it, I guess, but you're going to make a lot of people kind of annoyed after a while. But whatever. What's more important, Twitter likes or building a legitimate community that cares about your actual content? I don't know. Here's another one saying the VTuber versus IRL fad was and always will be a terrible idea. So there is...
Okay, I want to hear Rev's explanation about this before I say something, because it's like VTuber versus IRL fad. I'm sorry, it's not a fad. It's not a fad. You've got IRL streamers that are still bitching and moaning about VTubers, like Lacey, bitching and moaning about VTubers. Granted, he's bitching about AI, but he's conveniently ignoring the VTuber behind the AI, etc., etc. It's not a fad. It's still going. Hate to tell this person, it's kind of still going.
Is a VTuber versus IRL trend on Twitter. It pops up every couple of weeks where people show their VTuber model versus what they look like in real life. And there's...
Hey. Okay. I misunderstood I misunderstood the context of that. Okay. So it's not like cam streamers going after VTubers and VTubers are going after cam streamers. It's basically doing the side by side. Here's my VTuber model and here's me IRL. Yeah, and again, this popped up. Something to bear in mind. Something to bear in mind. This quote-unquote VTuber versus IRL fad is literally just a fad. Do you know when this quote-unquote fad popped up? Do you know when this popped up? This right here? Yeah, this popped up because I roasted the fuck out of XQC. That's how this popped up. This came into existence about a month ago because I roasted the fuck out of XQC on Twitter because XQC said that VTubers are all ugly and 400 pounds. And then VTubers came out of the fucking woodwork posting their real photos. It's only been a month. And I started it. Honestly, I'm not feeling bad about it anymore because fuck it, they're adults. They can do whatever. I've gotten past the feeling bad about it. When it first happened, I felt bad about it because I didn't want people getting doxxed. I got over it because these are adults. These are adult people that, yes, Zeb, when it first happened, I felt bad about it because people were suddenly doxing themselves, and I didn't want these people to put themselves at risk by doxing their real life faces when they may not have been, may not have intended to. They were working off emotion to try and stick it to XQC, and so they started posting their IRL photos, which is potentially, which could potentially dox them. You can get people, you can get fans, you can get haters that will try and track them down because now they have their IRL face. And I felt bad about that when it first happened. I've gotten over that because now these are, because now I've come around to, they are humans. They are adult humans. They are responsible for their own choices. I've found peace with that thought process. But yeah, this literally happened because I roasted XQC, and that XQC, that roast I did of XQC went viral, and all of a sudden VTubers started IRL posting. So yeah, Hikari Chino. Hi, Hikari Chino. Yeah, that was me that did that, and it lasted about 3 weeks and stopped. It's not happening anymore because XQC, not only did I roast the fuck out of XQC, when I roasted XQC, his own fucking chat roasted him when he tried to fire back. And then you had a brief rush of VTubers that posted IRL to stick it to XQC. Yeah, it maybe happens every few weeks, but it's only like a couple. It wasn't like the en masse IRL posting that happened at the time. It's, it happens, occasionally, but it's kind of already faded away. It's that like that fad that I started did kind of just fade away. Like after like 3 weeks, maybe.
Other examples of people calling VTubers ugly or something, and then people post their face in response saying, well, I'm not ugly. Yeah, you know what? You can post whatever you want. But I think this whole thing recently with Grok, where they've made it very easy on Twitter to add edits, like very, let's say, transformative edits to people's photos.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you might want to be careful with what you post on the internet, okay? There's people posting like a...
Well, that dovetails into a whole different discussion. I think it was Asmongold that said it, but I could be mistaken. It could have been someone else. Basically, like, remember when you were told as a youngling, don't ever post something on the internet that you don't want revealed to the world for the rest of your days? That's coming back. That thought process is starting to come back of don't post something on the internet if you don't want it to exist there for all time. Because now with Grok, that's going into the extreme. That people are basically taking photos and doing all kinds of crazy ass shit with Grok to it. It's time to get back to how the thought process used to be of only post something online that you are comfortable with everyone on the entire planet seeing.
A safe for work selfie, and then people are like, Grok, put her in a dental floss micro bikini. And Grok is doing it. Now, this is nothing new.
Yeah.
People have been photoshopping stuff for decades at this point. I just
but
think
now
it's more
too easy. Now
in
it's
people's
easy.
faces. So now they're really like, whoa, this is gross. Yeah, so be very careful with what you...
Well, people would do Photoshop edits all the time. No, back in the day, yes. Difference here is it's easy. Now you can do it with no talent at Photoshop whatsoever. Just give Grok a command, boom, it's done, and it works.
Post because people are going to do weird stuff. Doesn't mean it's fair or nice, but you need to take precaution. Don't just post something out of spite or for a trend because you want some likes on Twitter. Think about what you're doing and whether it's worth the risk or not. Okay, next one. Some VTubers actually fake their illnesses to use them as a way for e-begging. Yep. This is happening.
Yeah. Although I will say there are some VTubers that have faked their illness. That is a thing. Absolutely. But I wouldn't say it's widespread. That's the only potentially widespread faking of the illness thing would be mental, in the VTuber space anyway, would be a mental illness, a mental health issue, where, again, it's you have, and this is honestly not limited to VTubers, where it's you have streamers that basically say, I'm manic, I'm autistic, I have depression. You know, the self-diagnosed mental issues that they will basically shove at their audiences and go, whoa, why don't you give me money? I have a mental illness. And they're either they're faking it or they're internet diagnosing it and just riding that bandwagon as far as they can take it. Although in the VTubing space, it's not widespread, I would say. I would there has been some, without question. Absolutely without question, in the VTubing space, there have been some people who have faked either mental or physical illnesses that have been busted out as not actually possessing those illnesses or physical limitation issues. Realistically, I don't think it's a great deal of a big number of them. I honestly don't think it's a lot of them that have done this, but there are some. Undisputed that there are some VTubers that have done this.
Happened multiple times. People have faked illnesses to basically crowdfund money. And that's not really unique to VTubers. It's like the internet.
Yeah, there it is.
But yeah, and there's also a lot of other cases where you side-eye it, right? You're like, I can't prove it, but something's not right here. And of course, you're not going to accuse someone because they can just deny it. There's no way. You can't make them go to the doctor and bring back a note for you or something. Yes. But yeah, there's a lot of shady behavior with that type of stuff. And unfortunately, going back to this one more second, the people who are actually suffering from illnesses are affected the most by this, because then people are skeptical, unfair.
Oh, God. Buckle up. Yeah. The ones that fake autism, you guys know. The ones that fake autism are the ones that drive me insane. Because they completely mischaracterize it and they make it look worse for people that actually do have autism. I'm going to try and restrain myself, but yes, I 100% agree with that. All of these online personalities, VTuber and otherwise, that like to pretend that they have autism to basically excuse their quote-unquote quirkiness or horrible behavior, make it look that much fucking worse for people that actually have autism. Because they put into the minds of normies, they put into their minds that if someone has autism,
those self-diagnosed autistics or false autistics kind of upset me, because I have mentioned it before. I was diagnosed as a high-functioning autistic as a kid.
What it does is you have these people that exhibit absolutely dog shit behavior, and they excuse it with fake autism, self-diagnosed autism. They say, well, I can act like a fucking moron, or I can act like a disgusting human being because I have autism, so I have an excuse. Or yeah, I have ADHD, and that's my excuse for acting like this. You can't be mad at me because I have ADHD or I have autism, when that's not how it fucking works. And what they're doing is they're creating a completely unfair stereotype of people that actually do possess autism and do possess ADHD, who act nothing like these freaks. And so when someone with autism actually encounters a normie whose only exposure to autism are these people that, pretend to have autism, they're going to treat them in an unfair way because they have an expectation in their mind of these freak shows that are pretending. And it fucking disgusts me. It absolutely disgusts me. And that's why I always just go into a fucking rage anytime we see these fake, internet diagnosed autism people on social media or whatever. It's why I always go into a rage. Because they are they are giving a completely disingenuous and false look at how people with autism, with ADHD, with manic depressive disorder, or bipolar disorder, depression. It's giving a false view of what these people that actually have these mental health issues go through on a daily fucking basis, and it trivializes it. And that pisses me off to no end. Fuck those people.
Rarely of the actual people going through hard times or illnesses or whatever. Okay, VTuber news accounts are the bane of my existence. They don't know about journalistic integrity. So more often than not, them prying for information comes off as harassment. They are biased. They have an agenda. What? They will never apologize. They are only there to stir the pot.
Wait, why first of all, Snow, thank you for the subby. Why information? What are they talking? I'm trying to figure out what them prying for information comes off as harassment. What VTuber news accounts are running around, like, going after people in person saying, give me the scoop? Yeah, exactly, Mars. Like, that doesn't make any... Maybe you'll explain? Like, the VTuber news accounts are pretty much taking news from various news sources and talking about them and actually, like, maybe even doing a compare and contrast on them while also injecting their own knowledge about the situation in terms of why this is news and, like, what is the prying for information about? That doesn't make any sense to me. And yeah, like, VTuber news accounts, YouTuber journalists, those are the new honest media. Yeah, not all of them are gonna be honest. Don't think I'm just like blanket coding everything on this. But the YouTube journalists and the VTuber journalists right now are the ones that are actually talking about shit in, like, with a full honesty. They're not, like, trying to, like, deflect. They're not trying to, for the most part, lean a certain way or lean another way or boost one group while deliberately trying to drop the other one. It's like they pretty much come at it straight on. And that's what the modern news media doesn't like, is the fact that they're not spinning it. They're not doing a spin. They're basically presenting facts. For the most part, they are presenting facts. And again, I'm stuck on this prying for information. That doesn't make any sense to me. And the whole thing, they're biased, they have an agenda. Some of them might be. I'll fully admit some of the VTuber or YouTube journalists are biased and have an agenda. Some of them do, absolutely. But more and more, we are seeing that the bigger, quote unquote, news VTubers or YouTube journalists don't have an agenda, don't have a bias. They just literally present the facts as they have discovered them.
Agenda. They will never apologize. They are only there to stir the pot. Jeez, this is like that Japanese soldier who, after World War II, was stuck out in the forest and didn't know the war was over and kept fighting for 29 years. That's someone getting mad about VTuber news accounts. Like, how many are actually left at this point? The majority of them have either, like, semi-retired or just completely given up because of how toxic and annoying everything is in the VTubing scene. Yeah, if VTuber news accounts are the bane of your existence, you're probably doing something wrong or you need to find some bigger problems. And talk about journalists.
Yeah, and he's 100% right. If this Arca person is like, hates VTuber news accounts that much, get a hobby. Because that means one of two things. This statement right here means one of two things. Either A, this person is a failed news VTuber, and they hate the fact that other VTubers are presenting news far more successfully than this person is, and they're jealous as fuck, they're terminally online. They're terminally online. They're always constantly reading about shit left and right. No, sorry, I know VT's right there. That's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is this person may be a failed VTuber news account. Like, they tried to be a VTuber. They tried to be like a VTuber news person and got no audience. Nobody gave a fuck. And so they're jealous of people that do like current events, news stuff as a VTuber and have become very successful at it. And so that's one possibility, is they're jealous because they couldn't make it as a VTuber news account, or they're terminally online and they just need to go touch fucking grass. It's one of those two.
Integrity, that's your first mistake, thinking people uploading videos on YouTube are journalists. Big mistake, trying to make this sort of a this sort of standard that doesn't need to be applied, and they're biased. Okay, they're not journalists. I always find that funny with like people get mad about like VTuber news accounts or any sort of account posting on drama or anything. Like, yeah, you can be biased. Why not? You can have an opinion. Who's saying you can't have an opinion or...
And Rev just said it. That's it right there. A lot of, probably quite a few VTubers. We'll stick with VTubers on this one. Quite a few VTubers that discuss current events do so on an opinionated basis. They talk about current events because they want to express their opinion about said current events. And they can, and you know, how they can relate to it, how they can understand what's happening, how they can inject their own expertise into the situation at hand. There are actual VTuber journalists, so to speak. You know, Nux and Kirsche being two. Leaflet, I think, would also qualify in terms of what would be considered like a quote unquote VTuber journalist. But even then, they're a VTuber first. Their job, first and foremost, is to entertain their audience, not to be a reporter. It just so happens that some of the ways that they can entertain their audience is by speaking about current events.
Some sort of a lean. If you present yourself as someone who's independent, someone who's not going to take any sort of a bias, and then you do that, yeah, you're a hypocrite.
Bastard.
But if you don't present yourself as a neutral person, who cares if you're biased, if you have an opinion or some sort of a lean? Here's another one saying, drama tubers, problematic fans, and parasocial fans need to be put on blast if they put their antics too far. Full names.
No. It's, for fuck's sake. This is not complicated, dude. Hey, I'm your unfinished paragraph.
None of this blocking out their name stuff. Most hate for Niji VTubers is a nothing burger, and it's not funny, it's annoying and childish.
Okay, now I'm gonna say something. Dude, number one, no. You're advocating for doxing someone? In some states, that's literally a crime to do that. This person, Zio, is literally advocating for what is considered a criminal offense in some states by doxing someone. No, seriously, if you have such an issue with the drama tubers and problematic fans and parasocial fans, there's a much simpler solution than doing what is potentially illegal bullshit that you're trying to do right now. Move on. You don't like the drama tubers, don't watch them. You don't like the problematic fans, ignore them. Go on to something else. You don't like the parasocial fans, same response. Are you picking up what I'm putting down here? If you don't like this shit, don't engage with it. You know, like the drama tubers, don't watch them. Don't watch their videos, don't watch their streams. Go find someone that you do enjoy. It's literally that fucking simple. It could not be simpler of how to deal with this. But going full retard and saying these people, these drama tours, they need to be doxxed. Fuck you, dude. Go fuck yourself. You're literally advocating for illegal activities. Go below. No, it's not referring to it's full on doxing, blocking out their names. No, it's full names means doxing. That's what full name means. Is they're talking about actually doxing VTubers because they don't like them because they're quote drama tubers or they have problematic fans or they have parasocial fans. And he's saying, well, when that happens, dox them. No, dude, fuck off out of here. You don't like it? Go fucking like. The solution for so many of these is just go fucking touch grass or move on and don't watch the VTuber if you don't like them. It's literally that fucking simple. You don't like a VTuber because they're problematic, they're this, they're that, they supposedly have a bias, they have supposedly an ideological or political leaning, you don't like their fans. Fucking move on. Nothing says you have to keep watching or engaging with that VTuber or those fans. Absolutely nothing says you have to. You can move on. It's really fucking easy.
Wow. Simping for Niji in 2026? Crazy. Yeah, as I recall, the Nothing Burger with Niji Sanji involves like systemic mistreatment of their workers to the point where we had a situation where one VTuber in particular was bullied by her colleagues in the organization so badly she attempted her own life while the organization knew everything going on and didn't care. And then we have a million different things happening that show major problems with how things are run and how it's putting talents in danger. Yeah, I wouldn't call those Nothing Burgers personally, but also you see this. Drama tubers, problematic fans, and parasocial fans need to be put on blast. I would love to see what this individual thinks is problematic. Yeah, we'll make sure this user is the arbiter of what problematic is. I'm sure he'll be totally sane. If someone is sending you death threats, they don't deserve privacy, share the name. Yeah, 100%. So many people censor out.
Yes. Absolutely. If someone is sending death threats, you've given up the right to privacy. If you send someone a death threat, your right to privacy is gone. More so, you need to be in jail. You need to be charged with a crime if you're going to send someone a death threat. 100% agree with that. Absolutely 100% agree. Yeah, your privacy is now null and void by committing a criminal act against someone with a death threat.
Threats they're getting, they censor the names, which I don't understand why you're doing that. If they're like a genuine threat or a bad actor, like people should know that so they can block them or take preemptive measures or report them or whatever. And even blocking out their name, if it's a real post, like people will find it. It's not that hard. And
okay, they're not talking about doxing though. They're not talking about doxing. They're talking about the screen name. That's what the second paragraph is. Share the name. If it's throwaway, at least we'll know who to block. They're referring to if someone on Twitter issues a death threat to you, don't obscure their Twitter handle. That's what this we're not talking about doxing. We're talking about just their Twitter handle. And still agree. I still agree. If a Twitter user sends a death threat to a VTuber, absolutely put that username on blast and report it to the police. Absolutely. Like if you're going to issue a death threat against someone, you deserve to be put on blast. End of discussion. Like it's. I'm gonna hazard a guess that the people that do block out the name, maybe are going under the auspice of I don't want to be the same scumbag this person is. I want to prove that I'm better than them. Maybe. And in that kind of situation, no, the gloves are off on this one. There is no, I want to prove that I'm better than this person. They've issued a death threat against you. They put them on blast because they have committed the crime, not you. You as the victim should not be protecting anybody. Just fucking game on.
Fortunately, again, just like with the illness thing, a lot of people have faked threats against themselves. In many cases, they're literally posting threats on burners to themselves for attention, and they censor out the name so people don't go digging for the account. And unfortunately, again, The people faking it make the real threats less believable. And
True.
it hurts the
Very
people
true.
actually being harassed.
It kind of falls into the same vein as the misuse of words, like Nazi, like fascist, like istophobe. It basically waters it down. And it's basically turning death threats into, you don't agree with someone, they're going to issue a death threat, and it's like, oh yeah, they just don't agree with you. It's the same damn thing. It's the same problem, because if someone doesn't agree with you and their immediate response is to issue a death threat, and it happens in such an oversaturated kind of way that it loses its impact. And so now, if someone gets a death threat, it's like, oh, they must have just disagreed with them. They're just being, whatever. And now, since no death threats are taken seriously, it's all of a sudden Pikachu surprise face if someone gets a death threat issued to them, and then it gets followed up on. And and the inevitable response is going to be, well, God, how could we have not seen this coming when you did? They issued the threat and nobody took it seriously because that kind of activity is so overused right now that nobody takes anything like that seriously. So it's the same thing. It's destroying language in service to basically obfuscation and, tricking people into basically not paying attention to dehumanizing. Because the death threats is another form of dehumanizing someone that does not agree with you, so that the actual freaks can basically take that as a cue of, oh, this person is a viable target for me to take their life. It's the same concept. It's the same concept, and yes, it is coming from primarily the SJA types. Not exclusively, but yes, it is primarily coming from them. And it all falls into the same bucket of overuse, oversaturation to the point that it doesn't mean anything to the normies. But at the same time, it's being used to dehumanize them to their rabid, unhinged compatriots who will have no compunction about taking this to the next level that will result in the loss of someone's life.
Lolly and Shorta VTuber shouldn't be a thing. Well, you
Here we go.
A tourist. If you don't want the general public to see VTubers as a bunch of jobless weirdos, start by kicking the jobless weirdos out of the VTuber sphere. Ah, yes. Let's appeal to the mainstream of fans. That's going to work out so well. Yeah, let's cave in to all the normies who want to call you a jobless weirdo.
And by the way, I will say this again. I made this argument with Peanut when Peanut won VTuber. I know a lot of people, when I put out the videos on this, people have said, no, we absolutely should be gatekeeping VTubing. VTubing is being invaded by bad actors, bloody fucking blah. No one has the right to basically make the determination to say you are a VTuber and you are not, if you use an avatar. If you are not a cam streamer and you use an avatar of some sort, you're a VTuber. There's no individual or even group of individuals that have the supreme authority to determine you are not a VTuber. And by the way, the whole thing about, oh, we need to start gatekeeping VTubing, and, this person obviously is a part of that, thought process. Why are you letting it impact you? How is someone that you are considering a jobless weirdo, how are they impacting you as a streamer? Unless they're coming in and directly causing problems in your stream during your stream, who gives a fuck? I am certain that there are probably hundreds of VTubers streaming right now that if I were to view their content or if I were to hear them talk, I might call them, some of them I might like, some of them I might call morons, Some of them I might call bad people. Some of them I might flat out call retards. None of them, absolutely none of them have any bearing on my stream. That's what it boils down to. That's kind of what it boils down to for a lot of these. Is these people are just bitching and whining and moaning for attention. A lot of these people, not all, but a lot of these people are doing these responses, doing these quote tweets because they want attention. That's it. The reality is everything that they're bitching about has no bearing on, or it should have no bearing on their stream. And hi, HG Rules. How you doing? I'm ranting. That's the bottom line. None of it, they are actually allowing it to impact them. Oh yeah, it's post the opinions, but all of the stuff that they're talking about and they're getting all fired up about, none of it should matter. Even if it's just like they're just kind of like doing it as a meme, the reality is none of it does matter. None of it should affect your stream unless these individuals that you are referencing actually come into your stream and fuck around with your stream and fuck around with your chat and cause problems. None of it matters. It should not affect your stream. Your stream is your stream. If you are allowing all of these other people that are being referenced in all of these posts to influence your stream, that is a you problem. That is you not being able to keep that at a distance and focus on your stream and make a good stream for your audience and to provide them with entertaining content. That's on you. That's not on them. And that's the bottom line.
Weirdo for simply enjoying VTubers. You know what? Enjoying VTubers is weird. And that's good. It's good to be weird. It's good to have different interests, like being in the VTubing scene or enjoying anime or anything like it. It's okay. And when people call you a jobless weirdo, that's a sign that you shouldn't care what they're thinking and you should ignore them instead of curating the scene to accommodate the people who hate you and everything you're interested in. Yeah, this is why gatekeeping is important. Do not listen to the tips and tricks of big streamers. Most of them made it big a couple years ago, and so the tips don't really work now.
Yes and no. I'll say that's a yes and no. Because some tips and tricks can work. Depending, I mean, this one's a little dicey. Because like I've offered metas themselves do shift, but tips and tricks don't necessarily rely upon the meta. Some of it is absolutely universal. Like I've offered advice when it comes to people in my chat that have asked about streaming, asked about VTubing, and I've offered advice. But I've not offered meta advice. I've offered practical advice. I've said, if you're going to get into streaming, get into it for fun. Don't get into it expecting to make a career out of it. When it comes to your model, you can always, when you're first starting out, if you don't have a lot of money, don't be afraid to start with just a very inexpensive or even a free model when you're first starting out, and you can build up to getting a better model. Like those kind of tips and tricks are fine because it's not reliant upon the current VTubing zeitgeist. Because that does change. The meta changes all the damn time, but there are some things that don't change. There are some core aspects of VTubing and streaming in general that don't change. So I think this is both a yes and no. Is it, as the quote unquote big streamer, I think if you are going to offer advice to someone who is asking you advice about streaming and you wish to offer them advice, I think give them some practical core advice that has nothing to do with the meta. Absolutely. I think that's fine. Because people have to start somewhere, and if you can help them just kind of get that, we'll start with just a little bit of advice of you can try doing this where you can, make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons, et cetera, et cetera. Nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Now, if these big streamers are going to be talking about, what's currently working for them in the moment, well, now you're getting into a problem because what's working for them in the moment may change literally next week. Core advice, fine. I'm fine with that. Stick with that. If you are a big streamer and someone comes to you for advice on getting started in streaming, stick with the base core advice.
Yes, that's definitely true, but also a lot of the people selling tips and tricks are people who never made it. You have an account, a VTuber with 500 followers on Twitter telling you how to make it big as a VTuber. Like, yeah.
Well, that's not okay. That's not really what this guy's saying. This guy's saying don't listen to the tips and tricks of the big streamers. That's not really we're not talking like Twitter here. We're not talking about Twitter. We're not talking about Twitter users with 500 followers or something. We're into something quite different.
If it looks suspicious, it's because it is. I've seen other people say this, but a big VTuber debut before actually streaming is just dumb. Get to streaming before investing thousands into a debut. I've had to convince multiple friends that getting a cool model doesn't mean you will like streaming. Yes, many such cases.
Oh, yeah. And this is exactly what I was just saying. Precisely what I was just saying. Get into streaming because you want to have fun. You want to have a good time. You maybe want to, have a fun time with your audience, with an audience that you can build, and go with a cheap model first. Go with an inexpensive or even free model first because you can always go up. You can always go up from there. You start with the free model, you start with a cheap model where it's like a $50 model or something. Start with that. And if your stream becomes successful, then you can actually take those steps to start investing thousands of dollars in the model when it makes sense because you have a consistent audience, you have consistent revenue income that will allow for it. That's why I waited a full year before I started looking into investing in my model. Before I started investing, the thousands into my model. Because I wanted to be sure that, what started out as something fun to do turned into a viable source of revenue. And I wanted to make sure it wasn't, it was sustainable. Absolutely wanted to make sure it was sustainable. It was. So my mods will tell you, it took me a while to take the plunge and actually spend the money on the model. I waffled on getting a new model for literally months before I finally pulled the trigger on it and went, all right, let's do it. Absolutely, this person is right take your time. Take your time when you first get into VTubing. Start cheap. Don't be afraid to start cheap because number one, you have to make sure that you enjoy it as the streamer. Number two, you have to make sure that you have the audience. You have to make sure that you have an audience and that you have a viable income to continue and start the upward climb. So I agree with this.
Cases, okay? The best thing you can do to start building a career as a streamer is to actually stream. Whether that means having a PNG or nothing on the screen other than the game you're playing. Just do stuff. See if you even like it before dropping a $5,000 investment on a model.
I mean, JDB, there are enough free models out there. VTube Studio itself has something like 4 or 5 VTuber models built into the software, and then the Booth website had several free models for you to download. That's where I got mine from. There are free models out there that you can start with if you don't want to spend any money. Or if you want to spend a few bucks, like $50 at the most, you can do that. Start small. Start small and work your way up.
So you can debut in front of 7 people.
Well, I know, Redden.
Because that's not how this...
Hang on, I've got to do this. Yes, you're absolutely right. In fact, chat, let me show you something. In terms of free models, let me show you something. Recognize this model? Huh? Do you recognize this model, chat? Yeah, this is Neuro's first model. This is the model that Vital used when first introducing Neuro. This is it right here. This model is free and is baked into VTube Studio. Literally, if you have VTube Studio, you have this model. So yeah, you don't need to spend money if you don't want to. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's, there are plenty of options when you are first starting out to go cheap. Plenty of options. All right? Hi, baby bear. How's it going? Welcome in, Raiders. Welcome in. So yeah, just wanted to point that out. The biggest VTuber, probably one of the biggest VTubers in the world right now, the one that broke the hype train record 3 times in a month, literally started out using a free model baked into VTube Studio.
This works, okay? People who drop so much money just for a big debut, like, no. Go out there and stream. Plus, it puts like so much weight onto your debut. That's why I think a lot of V-tweeters never actually end up doing it, because they built up this debut so much that it's going to be disappointing to them no matter what happens. But anyways.
Yep.
Oh my god, please link your eye blinking. Apparently there's a setting, I guess, in VTube Studio where you can fix your blinking so you don't do a... See? Didn't even mean to. Good advice, I refuse. Because I like my accidental winks. It's engagement bait. It's good. And it's whimsical. So good advice, but I will politely decline on that one.
Okay.
Female VTubers can be completely untalented. If they have an unhinged personality, they'll succeed. Turns out...
Now, disagree. Disagree. Having an, for some, having an unhinged, it's not a carte blanche thing. For some people, yeah, they might key into that. So some people literally like to watch streamers that are just absolutely fucking unhinged. Some do, yeah, but yeah, it's not. It is not a guarantee by any stretch of the imagination. And yeah, plenty of the VTubers that are quote unquote unhinged do so in a very deliberate way. It's calculated. The ones that go full on unhinged, if it's completely unfocused, then people are just gonna be like, what am I watching? I'm watching a VTuber just going schizo over nothing for 5 hours straight. That's not entertaining, and they'll leave. And by the way, unhinged is also what was the word I'm looking for? Individualized. What one person considers unhinged, another might not. Not misused, but it's it's individual. It's okay. For example, plenty of people talk about Fillion being unhinged. Honestly, I don't think Fillion is unhinged. I think Fillion is just goofy and a little hyper, but not unhinged. But there are plenty of people that would say, oh, Fillion is unhinged. Cotton has moments where she might act like she's quote unquote unhinged. But she's not. She just has moments of just goofy chaoticness. Yeah, this is the whole thing about an unhinged personality is to individual is by the individual. Yeah, Jimmy Doki, again, there's no if someone literally their entire stream is just them just going schizo or being nonstop chaos, nonstop non-directed chaos. Yes, they will not maintain an audience. people are just gonna like they're good for like 5 minutes, and then they're like, okay, this is getting too much. Add out. It's there's a female VTuber that just acts schizo the entire time will not succeed. They're not going to, flat out. So this person is wrong in this respect. Superlane, yes. Yes, I have. You're talking about Blythe. Yes, when she basically started screaming, I need to be bred. Oh yes, I've seen it.
Out a lot of guys out there like unhinged women. I know, crazy stuff, but it's definitely the truth. Simple formula. Okay, just look around. A lot of successful unhinged.
And again, it's what is your definition unhinged? From the sound of it, this person Maz is equating unhinged to hypersexualized. That's what this. When he says female VTubers can be completely untalented, but if they're unhinged, which means it sounds like this person is saying untalented, but just graphically horny. The whole string. That's what I think this person is referencing. But again, my point exactly is individual context, individual definitions. Some may come from the model, most safe. Well, Typhoon, that's the overriding thing, is the VTuber model is the doorway. When it comes to VTubers, the model is the doorway. Is when people are looking through streams or even looking through videos that they put out, they see the model, they're like, oh, that's a cute model. Oh, that's a sexy model. And they'll watch for like a minute or two. In that minute or two, it is up to the streamer to be entertaining and to have a fun, engaging personality that keeps them there. So all the excuses of, oh, VTubers are only popular because because they're all sexy VTuber girls, or they're all sexy anime girls. That's not going to work. Because if all someone wanted was a sexy anime girl, they could watch anime or they can watch hentai. They don't need a streamer to look at a sexy anime girl. It sparks the initial interest, and then after a minute or two, the personality is what keeps them there.
Personalities out there, but don't be too unhinged to the point where you can't function, or like you do like crazy stuff that'll get you in trouble. But yeah, it definitely is a pattern here. Some of y'all's designs are really boring and forgettable. One of the first things people judge you on when checking out your profile is your design. Make it memorable. This is true.
Disagree. I'm the perfect example. My design, realistically, when it comes to all the VTubers out there, my first model was a little bit boring. I'll freely admit, the first model that I used was a little boring. Like in terms of the clothing choices, like the face had good animation to it. The mouth movement was good. The eye movement was good. The ear movements were good. But realistically, my first model was boring. But that's kind of how it can be when you're first starting out. No, but that's the thing. It was a free model. There were probably at least 3 or 4 other VTubers currently streaming when I first started streaming that also used my model. I mean, it's... Now, do you want to make it like dirt? Like my model, although I say was like kind of boring, it wasn't necessarily forgettable, but it was rather plain. It was rather plain, rather limited, but it worked as starting out. Really, I've seen like other people, when I first started streaming, people would send me screen caps of other streamers using my model. So yeah, the other streamers have, like, yeah, it's a good jumping off point. It's now if we're talking about boring, if we're talking about like excessively bland, okay, maybe. Like like if I was going to hang on. Oh shit, wrong. I double clicked on the wrong thing. Hang on. If we're talking about, here we go. This one. Hang on. If we're talking about this one is bland and boring. It is. Like this one, this model, which is again another free one from that's baked into VTube Studio. This one is bland and boring. If I was to have started my streaming career just using this, I doubt I would have attracted as much of an audience as I did by just having a simple cat. Realistically, I don't think I would have. So on that respect, I can kind of agree. In that respect, I can kind of agree with the concept of, that being an example of bland and boring. My first model was more interesting. It was an actual anime cat girl with some ear movement. The face movements were good. The eye movements were good. The mouth movement was good. It had some toggles to it. So, like, my first model did have a little bit, but it wasn't anything special. That's the kind of the point I'm making. It wasn't anything special. And when you're first starting out, sometimes you have to go with just okay. And you need to rely upon your personality to keep people there and build you up to go to a new model. But, this one criticizing some of y'all designs are bland and boring. This, again, is individualized. What this person considers boring and forgettable may not be boring and forgettable to another person. So this is another one where you can't really generalize because it's not true for everybody.
In many regards, but there's like a million really cool models out there. So the best thing you can do to stick out is your content. And sometimes simple is the best. Like, really. I think sometimes having something a little more simple can make you stand out. Okay, like you have these VTuber models, these 10 grand models now people are pulling out. It looks like an episode of Pimp My Ride or something. They have like all these ridiculous gadgets on there, a million toggles, and all these things they're never even going to use anyways. Like sometimes simple is better, and invest your money somewhere else. But not wrong at all. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that was a yap session. That's going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed the hot takes. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah, that was a yap session. I know I shouldn't be surprised, but I'm surprised. Well, you guys came for the yap, and you got the yap.